Hi there, and welcome to Apple World. Do you all recall how Diggy Simmons was large and in charge and had the business eating from the center of his hands? Well, he sort of plunged after that, and presently after such countless years, we at last realize what befell him to cause him to stop the business. As unexpectedly as he did, and you all will have a hard time believing the muddled circumstance he ended up in, was he truly harassed out of the business in the event that there is one craftsman who everyone believed planned to be the following huge thing. It's Diggy Simmons. He had the whole business in a stranglehold, and everybody had enormous expectations for him, since he continued to drop a large number of hits, and it was as he didn't know how to make a terrible tune, however, at that point. Unexpectedly, he just left the music business and totally quit making music, and stunningly, he left when he was at the pinnacle of his vocation, like he was truly on his way to become one of the best he was. In a real sense upheld by industry eminence, yet then, at that point, he recently quit, and individuals have consistently considered what truly constrained him to make this stride, and it seems as though we at last have every one of the responses that we want now to give you some setting. Diggy is really the child of Joseph Simmons, otherwise known as Fire Up Run, who was an individual from the unbelievable hip bounce bunch Run DMC. Russell Simmons, the organizer behind Def Jam Records, is his uncle, so any reasonable person would agree that Diggy experienced childhood at the center of attention and around music. I surmise that it ought not be all that astounding that he at last went into music himself. One of his most memorable musical moves was joining the Gathering Everything City chess clubs. The Gathering was made up of enormous names in music, including Pharrell Williams, J. Cole, and several other huge names in the business. He was just 15 at that point, so clearly he was really gifted. I mean, being a Nepo child can get you up to this point right off the bat in life, yet the all-city chess clubs didn't endure very long on the grounds that the Gathering separated not long after. It's not satisfactory why precisely they separated, yet they just dropped one melody. This didn't influence Diggy's profession a lot in light of the fact that he before long began taking large actions in the business as an independent craftsman. In 2009, he delivered his presentation mixtape title, The Principal Flight. Again, he was just 14 or 15. Right now, he wasn't endorsed to any name. At that point, and this was prior to streaming stages got however famous as they seem to be presently, he delivered a mixtape on his own blog, and it exploded very quickly. He was presumably helped by the way that he was at that point an unscripted television star, and his father was in the music business. In the event that you didn't realize, he showed up alongside his family on the MTV unscripted television show Runs Home, which essentially spun around the everyday residing of Fire Up Run's family. The mixtape got more than 100,000 downloads from his blog, and he became hotcake in the business since names were kicking the bucket to sign him. Talking in a meeting, he said, "The manner in which I began everything was simple. Private, I was recording tunes without help from anyone else, and it raised to my companions resembling this stuff is great, take it serious. So I did. I set some stuff up on YouTube, and this was the blog time, so I just kept endlessly making associations. Furthermore, meeting individuals on Twitter. Insiders uncovered that in excess of 5 names were battling to sign him, yet he at last consented to signing with Atlantic Records. This was an extraordinary choice since his vocation began developing considerably more. From that point in 2010, Diggy delivered a front of Nas melody, Made You Look, and it was a monstrous hit that even Kanye West and Nas himself commended it. That very year, he delivered his second mixtape, Airborne, and again, it was a significant achievement. He dropped his third mixtape in 2011 and named it Past, Present, and Future, and again, he had a significant strike with it, like he simply didn't have any idea how to make a terrible tune, and he was certainly not a one-hit wonder. And in the mid-year of 2011, he went on visit for BAT's 106 in Park Nearer to My Fantasies, visit alongside different specialists like Tyga Macintosh Mill operator, Thoughtless Conduct Lyle turned Diggy plainly participated in the visit in light of the fact that a couple of months after he went on another visit, he joined the Shout Cutting Edge visit in the fall of 2011 with Careless Conduct. Jacob Lattimore, a new young man and OMG young ladies, at last delivered his presentation collection on his startling appearance in 2012, and again, one more achievement. The wild part about this is that Diggy was as yet a teen, and he wasn't so much as 17 yet when this happened. He turned 17 the day after his introduction collection was delivered, and it appeared at number 13 on the Bulletin Jump 200, and he likewise won a NAACP grant and a BAT grant. It was close to this time that the strain began to get to him, and I'm not simply discussing the tensions that accompanied popularity. I'm discussing the tension that he looked from individuals who thought he was just effective in light of the fact that he was a Nepo child. Many individuals believed that despite the fact that Diggy was rapping about the road life in a portion of his tracks, he didn't have the road cred. He grew up with a silver spoon, and he fundamentally didn't actually need to fill in as hard as other forthcoming specialists, since everything was essentially given down to him. Diggy had a go at staying away from this discussion and gave no consideration to it despite the fact that he realized individuals were condemning him for his experience. However, at that point, unexpectedly, he just vanished from the business, and no one truly realized what befell him or what the genuine explanation was. I mean, he kept on asking, like he is really known for his job in the hit television series Grown. Yet, his music profession was simply on an endless breakwell. He has at long last focused on what truly drove him away from music while it just so happened. He had confronted such a lot of disdain and analysis for being a Nepali child that he in the end created OCD and felt like he needed to stop and didn't merit the distinction. And in an Instagram post, he said, "I haven't delivered a music project in 6 years generally due to overthinking my thought. My OCD being to put resources into the obscure and the feeling of dread toward a questionable result for quite a long time. I let my madnesses and the pessimistic view of others beat what I saw of myself." In a meeting, he likewise said, "I generally could rap, and I generally prefer to rap yet wandered away from it. Totally, I didn't need individuals thinking I was doing this due to my family. I've been in a time span of self-disclosure and simply turning out to be better intellectually coming into my self as a grown-up." He makes sense of it's a temporary period. You realize, after I delivered my most memorable collection, I needed to reserve that margin for myself and simultaneously hide out and not overthink the inventive flow. Now I realize that Digi is a Nepal child. However, we can all concur that there are two kinds of Nepo children: the people who suck at what they do and are just fruitful in view of their folks, and the people who are truly perfect at what they do. I prefer not to say this once it might appear to be obscure. Yet, I think we as a whole can concur that most Nepo children fall into the class of the people who don't have as much ability as expected for their degree of progress. I won't name no names, except for I figure we can all imagine 2 or 3 Nepal children who fit directly into this depiction. Yet with regards to Diggy, he plainly squeezes solidly into the gathering of Nepal infants who are skilled and are great at what they do. I mean, he viewed as an insane measure of accomplishment as a kid, before he even turned into a grown-up, and I don't believe that degree of progress would have been conceivable assuming he was a useless Nepal child who was being moved by daddy's cash, so I don't feel that it was fair of the business to have pushed him out as they did. However, he actually figured out how to make some progress in the acting specialty, so in the event that that is not him being really gifted, then I don't have the foggiest idea what somebody remarked I know. Veer comprehended the reason why individuals disdain the individuals who are effective, and being naturally introduced to a favored family helped open entryways, yet he actually needed to work for his prosperity. I find the motivation behind why such countless individuals disdain others to be on the grounds that their lives are a wreck. I figure he ought to simply overlook the cynicism and keep doing what fulfills him. Someone else said it unexpectedly. Diggy's family wealth could have been his ruin in the music business. On the off chance that he had individuals relying upon his prosperity, he could have pushed through the psychological difficulties like a large number of. Subscribe Apple World for more videos.